We all know how much I love plants. In the last episode, I showed you how to make tinctures, and now I want to show you how to make salves. My name is Laura Zara.
Look at my face.
I'm a survival and backcountry specialist.
Don't fall into that trap.
We just got chased down the mountain by a very angry swarm of bees.
I have a hard time explaining what I do and what my life looks like, but it's way easier to just show you.
Javelin of another elk to get the ivory out.
It's just not the best spot to be.
Learn what it takes to become decivilized. In Montana, we have Arnica, which is a pretty incredible plant, like most plants, which are incredible. It helps a lot. If you make a salve out of it, you can use it for bruises, for sore muscles, for cuts, scrapes. It basically increases the blood circulation in that area. So it helps the healing process, and it's pretty great to have around as a salve because it's not always available out in the field.
So here is some Arnica and a dog. Go on. As you can see, I've got these really pretty yellow flowers, and the leaves, if you look on a stem, they are opposite, so they come off directly across from each other. And they're way smaller than the balsa root, which kind of looks like it. Usually that stem that comes with the flower, it tends to be longer and the flower is kind of like above the actual part of the plant. And this is all Arnica here, all over the ground, all these little leaves. These guys just haven't flowered yet. Arnica tends to be more medicinal when it is stressed out, and slopes are very stressful, take it from me. I always try to get them from there, plus I tend to be around slopes a lot, looking for antlers. However, you only have a certain window to gather Arnica, so commit to the Arnica, don't be distracted. I didn't bring binoculars because Arnica harvest. You can use this same process with a lot of different plants. Yarrow and plantain are pretty commonly spread all across the country. Plantain is also known as white man's footprint because it was spread with wherever the white people moved. And it's not the banana plantain that you're thinking about. It's actually this tiny little plant that is probably growing in your yard right now and you've just never noticed it. You can use this same salve process to make lip balm, just don't use it with any herb that you don't want to be taken internally since it'll be on your lips, so look into that. But it's a pretty cool process, it's pretty simple, and I'll show you how to do it. The first step is to go out and harvest your Arnica. You want to find plants that are healthy, that are fully alive, aren't wilting, dead, or sad looking. So see how this Arnica just looks really sad? It's gone by a little bit much for my liking, which means I'm gonna go to a higher elevation where it started flowering a little later. These little guys look stressed out. Harvesting, very complex. You take a knife, and it's really any of the plant material that's above the surface of the ground that I'm taking. So I just grab it, normally take around here. Look at that, harvested my first little guys. This guy has 2 other buds, so just gonna take one. I don't need to be greedy.
This next step is wildly simple. You're taking the Arnica you gathered, you're putting it in a jar. So as I'm going through it, I'm gonna look and see, make sure there's no blades of grass I accidentally put in there. Oh wow, yeah, see, there's a bunch of little baby crab spiders that I would have missed, and I don't wanna make crab spider salve. Go through, get all your spiders out, and put the pure, clean Arnica into a jar that you've sterilized so you keep everything clean. When you've harvested your plant, you want to put it in a carrier oil, something that is going to be infused with the medicinal properties of that plant. You can use olive oil. I love using coconut oil because it's so good for your skin. They make not only the kind that's hard at room temperature, but you can also get just the stuff that stays like an oil. You want to pack as much of the plant as you can inside of a mason jar and then pour the oil over it to completely cover all the plants that you have in your jar. Once you have your plant all covered in oil, you have 2 choices. You can either put it in a double boiler, which speeds the process up, or you can just leave it sitting in the jar for a month. If you use the slow cooker, you can make your salve immediately. Otherwise, you have to wait. I like to use a crock pot when I'm doing the double boiler method. I put a towel on the bottom of the crock pot so it's not right up against the heat,
If you're using a crock pot, fill it halfway with water and then keep it on whatever setting is gonna keep it warm but not hot. You don't want this thing boiling, you want it to be just warm enough to infuse with the medicinal properties of that plant. Every now and then, give it a swish, check up on it, but once it's going good, you're gonna leave it for 8 to 10 hours. After you have your oil infused, you need to get the plant matter out. You can either do this by using a strainer or a cheesecloth. I think a cheesecloth does a little bit better of a job, but take your pick. You are creating a little well in the top of that mason jar, and you're going to pour everything in there, and just the oil should come out, and you should have just a mason jar full of whatever oil you used. Another reason I like cheesecloth is that you can squeeze the herbs, make sure that you're getting every last drop out before you get rid of your herbs. That oil is now ready to go to make your salve. It's time to add beeswax to the mix. So you want to use about 4 parts of your oil and 1 part beeswax. So if you have 2 cups of oil, you're going to be adding half a cup of beeswax. The beeswax basically makes the salve no longer an oil. It turns it into kind of that nice mixture that you can rub on whatever part of you is hurting or needing salve. The more beeswax you add, the harder the final product will be. If you want a salve that's really runny, add less beeswax. You're going back to your crock pot or your double boiler and you're gonna put your oil back in and mix the beeswax in. You want to stir it occasionally and that beeswax should slowly melt in until you have one homogeneous mixture. I like to add a few drops of wintergreen oil. Not only does it give it a wonderful aroma, but it has properties that help it relieve sore muscles. I go for it, but if you don't have it, no stress, you're still making awesome salve. Remember that the same process you're using to melt the beeswax is also going to melt your salve. So if you leave it in your hot car and you open it up, it's probably going to be a liquid. Be careful, I've made that mistake before. After everything is all mixed together and looks completely homogeneous, you can take it out and pour it into your jars. Sometimes I like little travel tins. You can also have bigger containers. You can use mason jars. Just make sure to keep it in a dark place, out of the sun. I do that with everything I make that's medicinal because sun does break down the properties of whatever you have that's medicine. Find whatever plant you have and make your own salve. It's super easy, it's quick, makes great gifts, and if you get hurt, you have it around in your little medicine closet and everyone thinks you're a witch. Just remember, you cannot have every plant available every time of year. Middle of the winter in Montana, I'm probably not gonna get Arnica, so you have to plan ahead, strike when it's ready, and realize that you might have to give something up to go and get whatever you're harvesting. Like antler hunting, which I love even more than I love plants.
Look how cute they are. Adorable.